Well, today we're going to be getting right back to work on the 350Z rally car build. I know it's been a while and I said that I would post more updates, but I haven't really had a chance to get much done on the car. And we're finally at the point where we can start doing some of the fun fabrication stuff, like starting the roll cage, which is what we're going to be doing in this video. And if you are new here, if you haven't seen any of the videos in this thing before, I am in the middle of turning this thing into a full-on stage rally car, which, if you know anything about 350Zs, you know that's probably not a very good choice because they have extremely limited wheel travel. They're super low from the factory. There's no aftermarket support for anything rally on these things. So that means everything's got to be custom, everything's got to be redesigned. We have a lot of work cut out for us in the future, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I got a lot of work done on this thing, but not really in the manual side of stuff as far as like fabricating, more in the technical side. And by that, I mean I've been working on this thing more than actually working on a real car. And that's been involving a 3D scanner and getting the entire car built in CAD and going through and pretty much designing every aspect that I want so far into the chassis. Now I'm not completely done, not even like a quarter of the way done. I pretty much just started doing this a couple days ago, and there's a heck of a lot more that we're gonna have to figure out, but I think we're at the point where we can start building some stuff in the car and see as it's going together, because I don't want to fully build this thing in a CAD model because I am going to be doing it by hand. I'm not gonna have all my tubes CNC bent and notched or anything like that. I still have to do it all, so there is going to be a fair bit of variance in this model versus what actually gets produced in real life. I'm still gonna have to get a little bit more scan data in here, but that'll come in the future. We gotta get the engine in there, the trains in there, all sorts of stuff. Gotta get a little bit more in the firewall before we start making like the intrusion bars that go through the firewall. But we're not there yet. That's gonna come later on. Today though, we are going to be working on a few fun things. So we'll hop into the computer real quick and see what we're gonna be working. All right, so you'll see that I have quite a bit in here so far, and we're probably not going to get to all this in this video today, but we'll kind of briefly go through it. We'll turn off some of the scans so that way you can actually see some of the roll cage. So we'll get rid of all the passenger stuff so that way we can actually see what we're doing and all the different items that we have part of the car right now. So as you can see, we do have a fair bit of the roll cage done. Like I said, not getting to all this today. Primarily, we're going to be working on the base plates. So the base plates right here for the main hoop, and then over here the front boxes. We're going to be working on getting those done, and then we're going to try to get the main hoop built out. So we'll kind of zoom in a little bit on here. You can kind of see how tight you can really get this thing to the body. I know it kind of looks like it's protruding a little bit into the chassis here in a couple spots, but I was planning on kind of sandwiching these down probably with a hammer, just so it gets a little bit closer. So we're going to cut out these front plates real quick, and then we're going to cut out the back main hoop plates as well, get them bent up and see how they fit. And we can fully weld them in because of the way that the cage is. We're going to be able to drop the main hoop off the shelf and ratchet strap in the forward lateral bars and actually get them to drop off the boxes about 8 inches. So we're not going to have to remove those later, which is pretty convenient. It always sucks having to get all the way behind it when the cage is fully done and welded in to weld like the last little parts of the rocker boxes. But because of how this car is and everything like that, we're going to be good to just weld these in fully. So much easier to have a plasma table. Sorry if you don't and you had to watch me cut it out, but that would have taken me so long by hand. And look at that, even super nice little slots so you know where to bend it. Anyway, I'm gonna clean these up real quick. Typically, I just hit these things with a wire wheel. That's usually enough as long as my settings were correct and I had good consumables in there and my air was dry. That'll clean up all the dross. I do like to go back with like a stripper disc and hit like all the edges that are gonna get welded to get rid of all the mill scale on this stuff, because it does have pretty bad mill scale. Just kind of helps the weld go a little bit nicer when you actually put it in the chassis. And then all of these little slots that I put in, they're also gonna get welded up as well. Probably from the back side once it's all bent up, and also from the front. And sometimes I grind them down and blend it so it looks nice and smooth, like a one solid piece, which it is, but obviously it has slots in it. So let's get these cleaned up and bent and see if they fit in the car. So this metal brake is also super handy. It's not at all rated for 1/8 inch steel, but when you do those little slots, it'll bend it just fine because it's essentially only bending about 1.5 inches on like the top pieces. Really makes it handy though, especially to clean up the dross because it's magnetic. You just hit the switch and it holds it for you, which is really nice when you're using one of those wire wheels. But now that we got it bent up, we can throw it in the car and see if it fits. Let's see if it fits, which it should. I mean, hit 3D scan it all. I think like, yep, right there. Pretty much perfect. That is awesome. There's like little divots and stuff in the floor. This thing matches up with it perfectly. It's exactly where I wanted it to be, hopefully, right? I guess we'll find out once I get that top bar made. Super happy with that. That would have taken me forever to do by hand. Definitely doable, but not worth it when you can do something like this. Now let's see about that baffling. So this one fits really good too, which is awesome. There's a little bit of massaging that I'll have to do once we get it tacked in. We'll have to kind of hammer a little bit to try to get it to curl down a little bit on this like inside edge of the one flange that goes up. That's one thing that is super important when you're doing plates or something like that for a roll cage, or if you're just plating sheet metal. Having no gaps or no huge gaps really is important, because as soon as you get a gap and you have to like bridge it, you run the risk of blowing holes in it, which is already a huge risk anyway. There's areas like through here that I'm not going to be able to remove all of the seam sealer, and as soon as you hit that, that stuff gets brought to like the front side of the weld and it just kind of like splatters out and really kind of ruins it. So unless you get like your car chemically stripped or burned or something like that, you're going to have those issues. I'm going to cut out 2 more of these guys, and then we're going to use them from the opposite side because they should be perfect mirror images. So these took about 15 minutes to cut up both of them, clean them up, and bend them, and they fit perfect, which is awesome. Same thing with this side. It's going to need a little bit of massaging, like right around here. Shouldn't have any issue getting that to conform a little bit once we actually get this tacked in place. And then same with this guy. It fits perfect. It's got a little bit of a gap down there. They both do. There was probably something up with the 3D scan where it might have picked up, I don't know, maybe some seam sealer that I didn't have completely removed, but I'm happy with that. Now we can just start cleaning up all the areas where we're gonna weld, and then we can start the fun process of welding those in. All right, all 4 spots are prepped now for welding. It is super important to try to get rid of as much seam sealer as you can. Like I kind of went over earlier, there's really wasn't too many spots in here. Like a little bit through here that I had to burn out, some down there. I didn't really need to get rid of that, but it is kind of in the way. And then some over there. But just using a blowtorch and scraping out as much of that as you can really does help. And then after you're done with that, just hit it with the wire wheel again. And something like this welding brush, that really helps get in a lot of the nooks and crannies that you can't really get with the wire wheel. And some of the other tools that I use as far as like stripping stuff goes, so these are super handy just for doing fabrication and stuff on things like this where there's a lot of hard to reach spots. This is curved, so you can actually get in there really well with like the edges and stuff. They do wear out fairly quick on the edges if you just use those, but these work great too. And it's super nice to have these because they don't just break like the sanding discs do, but those are also nice to have. And then these, just to remove the paint and get it down to shiny metal, they work super, super quick. And they don't remove any other material, so you don't have to worry about using something like this or that and actually stripping and thinning out the metal any, because if you've ever worked on a car, you know how thin this sheet metal is, and if you even grind a little bit off, that's just going to make it so much harder to actually get a good weld on there. But we're pretty much ready to start welding, and I got the welder all set up. I'll probably start with the main hoop plates, then we'll transition to doing those boxes up front. It's kind of exciting because this is the first of probably a couple thousand welds that we'll have to do on this chassis to get this thing fully ready for some rally. So this is typically where you finally shape it before you fully weld it in there. You get it as close as you can, obviously out of the car, but this is where it's kind of inevitable when you're welding something with like this many curves and weird bends and stuff. You're gonna have to do some contouring to get it to fit. So that's where the whole tack and whack kind of comes from. Tack it in a few good spots that are already touching and really close, and then you're gonna get some decent gaps, probably some of the other areas like kind of have down here. Just gonna literally hit it with a hammer and close up that gap. Now you don't want to do it too much because you'll get to the point where you're actually deforming the sheet metal below it and like pushing it away from the sheet metal and creating a bigger gap. So unless you can get to like the backside, if you're welding like the floor or something, that'll be a big problem, because here I can't really do anything if I dent that in. I'm kind of stuck with it. You kind of reach a point of diminishing returns if you hammer it too much, but usually you can get it to conform just a little bit better and then just weld it along. All right, these things are ready to throw in the car. They're completely welded up. I did grind on the outside, obviously. I removed just like as much material as I needed to, but barely any. Honestly, this isn't necessary, and I honestly wouldn't recommend grinding anything if it goes in a roll cage. And the only reason that I did is because I welded the backside, so you can see all of those areas that I welded or grinded down. Because I welded on the front side, I welded on the backside too. Same thing with that one. And I ground down as much as I could with a flap disc, just sticking to the welded portions, and then I cleaned it up with just like a sanding pad. So it's still kind of wavy gravy because I didn't remove all of the weld, so you can see like that's where this is the original sheet metal, that's not. So you can see that the weld is still pretty proud, but it is a roll cage, it's not aesthetic. So we're gonna get that welded in now. So I was gonna end the video out there, but there's one more thing that I should take care of today before we move on to the main hoop and actually constructing out the rest of the roll cage, and that's removing this windshield, because I don't wanna get grinder sparks all over it. We're gonna need access to some of that stuff. It's kinda like the last thing that I actually need to remove on the car. And to do that, I'm gonna be trying out a new method today. So I purchased this This is a blade for my oscillating multi-tool. These things are super handy. I use it all the time for like house projects, stuff like that. I mean, I even used it to remove some of the sound deadening in the car. So it's got like a real sharp serrated edge on it. And obviously as the tool oscillates, it's supposed to cut it. So I tried it in one small section and I did like about that far. I couldn't really see how well it worked. I just tried it before I start filming it, just in case it doesn't work at all. My old method that I've done before is the manual way, where you get like a really good forearm workout, and that's using the two handles and like piano wire or welding wire. They make the stuff at like Harbor Freight. They have it where it's abraded and it cuts through a little bit better, but that stuff ends up breaking. It's a huge pain to do, but usually that's the cheapest and most effective way to do it on your own. But for these blades, they're pretty cheap, and since this tool is relatively cheap and I already have one, I wanted to give it a try, because if there's a way to save some labor, definitely all about it. So let's give this a shot and see how well it works. It already broke the windshield, so it doesn't really matter now. But yeah, I don't think I'm super impressed with that tool. Unfortunately, I was really hoping for a good outcome with that. All right, giving up. And that's how you change a windshield. Well, that definitely did not go as planned by any means. That was pretty awful, not gonna lie. So that tool was working really well initially. I don't know, maybe it's my fault, user error or something, or maybe it dulled really fast. I went through all three blades though, which kind of isn't worth it because they weren't super cheap. Maybe I was pushing too hard or something, or I just didn't have it in the right spot. But as soon as you got close to the glass, it would start trying to crack it, so it'd start fracturing it. So I don't think those are worth it at all. I would have been better off just sticking with the old-fashioned way. Because I had most of it out, I ended up just folding it over, and I had already cracked it at that point because I accidentally hit it with that oscillating tool. So definitely, I don't recommend that tool by any means. But with that, I'm going to end out this video. I know we didn't get all the roll cage stuff done that I initially planned on, but I'm gonna save that for the next video. That way I can make a little bit of shorter videos and kind of stick to certain projects in them. I know this one kind of bounced all over the place, but we got the cage plates done, which is awesome. It's been a long time coming, and super happy to have that out of the way. Next video, we'll actually get into the fun roll cage stuff, and we'll hopefully see that all the 3D scanning and stuff was worth it, because it'll be a really tight and good fitting cage, which I'm super excited about. But we'll just have to wait and see till next video, and I'll see you guys there.